Welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Ness.
And I am Jay.
What a stressful morning. I'm so ready to pull my computer out the window. But we made it. We're starting. It took us over an hour to get here, but we're here.
What are we talking about today?
All right. I wanted to start off with I don't know the word for this, heartwarming, very it's a sad thing, but also like kind of cool because it's one of those weird coincidences that happens in sports. As we know, over the off season, we lost Johnny Gaudreau and his brother to a hit and run accident, and Cole Caulfield decided to switch his number to 13 to honor him. This past week, during one of their games, Cole Caulfield scored his 13th goal of the season in Columbus. So he plays for the Montreal Canadiens. They were playing against the Columbus Blue Jackets. He was wearing Gaudreau's number 13. In the 13th minute of the second period, the assist was given to Slavkovsky's 13th point of the season. It's just a crazy, crazy coincidence that so many 13ths happening in one game, and I just thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, one of those like hockey gods moments that sports fans like to look at. Just weird stats. Yeah, I just wanted to highlight that. But
Good gesture by Cole Caulfield.
yeah, I did want to focus on some fun things this week, and we're gonna start off with some goofs. Do you want to talk about what happened with the Capitals this week?
The Capitals. Yeah, so I mean, gosh, there's like so much hockey this week. I mean, like I've been trying to catch like some CUDA games because, if you don't know, they're kind of awesome this year, just like the Sharks. So it's a lot of good things happening here in San Jose. But in a weird turn of events, I mean, the Caps did eventually come back to win this game, but this showed up on my feed, and I was like, "What is this?" So essentially, Charlie Lindgren was in net. He was attempting to do what like most goalies do when they're out in front of their crease, they get the puck and then they want to pass it up behind the net. They typically got it on their backhand and then they turn around, and I'm sure they do this a million times in their career, but I don't know if the intensity of the game, or he just, he was just having a morning or whatever it is, but he spun around and he spun the puck into the net. The look on his face was just like someone just, I don't want to, like someone just put me away. Just, I don't want to be here in front of everybody. I don't recall offhand. So I'm just gonna assume one of two things. If it was amongst the home crowd, then everybody was there to feel it for him, like, oh, like the dagger in the chest. But if it was down in Tampa, I wouldn't excuse him from just going over to the net and just pulling it over himself and just, taking a moment, taking a breather. maybe even going as far as like, excuse me for a moment, I need to get off the ice, I need to find a dark room, I need to scream in it, and then I'll come out. Just give me 5 minutes. But just the look on his face just looked like he did not want to be there in this moment. Like, I can't believe I just did that. In this clip, I saw one of his teammates just kind of came over and just giving him, some encouragement, like, shake it off, it's cool, man, blah blah blah. I mean, that goal ended up being a strange hat trick. for Braden Point because he was the last one to touch it. So they gave him and he got a hat trick. But like I said, the Caps did come back in the game. So, like it'll be one of those things where you can just like laugh about it versus like what a season or so ago with that Wilson versus Merzlikin thing where Sneakin, I think he got the penalty out of that, and then the Caps ended up coming back and scoring the game-winning goal. So in like that instance, you're just like, man, it could have been much much more enjoyable if the Blue Jackets got to win that, because our opinions on Tom Wilson here. Sometimes he just needs a little in the face. But the Caps did get to kind of have their moment on the ice where Merzlikin was skating away and they got to point and laugh and whatever. So depending on which side of the game you were on, the fan base that you were rooting for, that was a fun moment. But in this case, I think, thankfully for Charlie Lindgren, he managed to get the win and he can just laugh about it in a couple weeks.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those want to get away moments. You do something stupid, everyone's watching, and you're just like, what the hell?
It's
It
like
looks
not
like
even like that looked like a pretty packed arena. So not only is everyone in the arena, but then there's everyone who's tuning in and just like, I hope he doesn't have an anxiety disorder, or if he didn't before, he has one now. And it just, like, oh, I'm sure that's
so
going to get
funny.
clipped for like the NHL highlights of the week.
Yeah,
But
the
whatever, at the
bloopers.
end of the day, he got the win. They can laugh about it in a couple weeks.
Dude, I didn't know that it was considered a hat trick for Point. That sucks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
great for Point. Like, he barely any effort there to get a hat trick, but like, what the
Yeah.
hell?
So that goal went to Braden, and then I believe it also gave the Bolts the lead. So they were tied in the game, and then they gave them the lead. So all kinds of things where you're just like, fuck, man. Like, but you know what? Charlie Lindgren, like I said, kept it cool, got the Caps the win. The guys showed up, I'm assuming, because they got the win, helped them out. They can all laugh about it later.
Oh, that's silly. Something else that you want to laugh about? We always love
Look,
to hate.
like,
Go ahead, go ahead.
I mean, at the end of the day, this fan base will probably come around and be like, oh, we got the Stanley Cup. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, whatever. But like, you just got shut out by the Utah Hockey Club. So I'm going to laugh about it.
Not just shut
I,
out.
yeah,
They were
not only is
destroyed.
it shutout, I mean, it's the Knights that kind of, got this loss handed to them. They're what's his name? His name is the tip of my tongue. I can't remember. Anyways, they have a goalie out right now. So they have to call up one of their AHL goalies, Jackson Stauber, Thauber. And he was in net because they had a back-to-back. So not only does he get the shutout, but he gets the first shutout in this franchise's history. So good for him. There were some really interesting plays that led to these goals. I didn't watch all of them. The ones that come to mind, just the ones that showed up on my feed throughout the night. There was one where Samsonov went to go grab the puck from the half boards. I don't know what he saw, but he passed it down, trying to get it through the middle of the neutral zone. Alex Kernfoot was right there to get it right on his tape, and he's charging towards the net. And Samsonov trying to get back to the net. There was some defender on the Knights, and Samsonov does like his best Superman impression across the net, trying to. And I think he almost saved it. Like I would have had to give him praise if he did do that and saved and made a save. Like be like impressive, but he did not. So because as I was scrolling through Twitter, you have the thumbnail of him just like way on the other side of the ice, and you're like, "What happened here?" It's like it's one of those moments where like in a comedy show, you're probably asking yourself, like, "How did I end up here?"
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just gotta click on it. It's the clip of him trying to get back to the net to make the save, and he does not make the save. And then there was another one where Utah was just attacking, and I think Sammy made the initial save, and then he was like farther out from the crease than you want your goalie. And after he made the initial save, he kind of hung out there, and I'm just like, questionable. Okay, keep it rolling. And then I think he made another save, and then he was trying to get back, and he tripped over someone's skates, and then just like the wide open net. So I think it was just like a terrible night for Sammy, which after the first Superman impression goal, I'm actually surprised, unless the Knights played the previous night. I don't keep up with them, so I want to say they didn't. I was actually surprised that he was like kept in net, because just like some of the highlights that I saw, I'm like, but like I said, I didn't watch the game. Maybe the Knights were just also really terrible in defense, and sometimes it's one of those situations where you pull the goalie because they're too much in their head, or you pull them to kind of inject some momentum back into the team. So whatever the case may be, I'm just gonna laugh about it because the Sharks are doing so well right now that I just get to do that. I'm living in the moment, and this is funny to me. So
We have to focus on the good times in these dark times.
Whatever happens next week, I'm sure there might be some things that other fan bases can laugh about, but on this podcast, we're living in the moment. We're gonna laugh about this.
Living for it. I want to talk about another one of the Sharks' rivals, but I do want to give these guys some props, which is not something we do very often here on this podcast as Sharks fans.
Very rare moment coming up.
Very, very rare. Should write this down. So, everyone knows the LA Kings are doing pretty well this season. They're like second in the standings, Pacific Division
Are they,
currently. In the Pacific Division? Last time I checked, which was yesterday, they were. Yes, they have 31 points currently. The Knights are in first at 33. Anyways, so everyone knows that down in LA, there's a big Latin population. And I have been okay, let me get my thoughts together. So the LA Kings hosted a Salvadoran Heritage Night, which is great because if y'all who are listening don't know, I come of Salvadoran heritage as well. My parents are from El Salvador, and I have been saying they started doing Hispanic Heritage Nights here in San Jose. Like, I wish they included more Latin cultures other than just Mexican culture. I know that San Jose has a pretty big Mexican presence in like East San Jose or something. I'm not very familiar with the area, but I understand why they do it. They pay homage to everyone there. But if you're going to call it Hispanic Heritage Night, it would be nice to include other Hispanic countries, Latin countries specifically. I think they did once. One of the artists was either from Guatemala or Nicaragua. I can't remember off the top of my head. But anyways, LA has a bigger Salvadorian presence down there, and I think the Dodgers started this off with a Salvi Heritage Night a couple years ago or 3 years ago, sometime during COVID times. And then I guess now they've expanded, and the LA Kings are doing it now. I believe it's hosted by a nonprofit organization called AFJA. It's AFJA. It says in their Twitter bio that they are supporting youth in Central America through the power of play and with pupusa, with pupusas with a purpose, which is another organization, I guess. But basically, they um, what you calls it, they fundraise to help kids, play sports and all that. And the reason I found this was because my mom, she sent a video to me this morning of a Salvi influencer that we both follow called Los Bayuncos, which basically means like Bayuncos is like silly or jokesters. It's slang in Salvi Spanish. Um, he is one of the dudes from this page or whatever was invited to ride on the Zamboni during the game. He has his hoodie that's the Kings logo, but instead of saying LA Kings, it says El Salvador on it, which is pretty cool. He's just bringing awareness because, hockey is not super big in Latin culture, but there were a bunch of Salvi people representing the night, and it's just a nice way to grow the sport, everything that we like to talk about here on the podcast. And they're selling merch with, says like LA either on the back of a shirt or on the front of a hoodie. And then Kings also on there with a very specific Salvadorian art style that I have seen growing up my whole life. Whenever my parents go to El Salvador and they bring like souvenirs back, this art style is very prominent in a lot of the things that they bring back, and like like the key holders that you put up on the wall or whatever it is. It's so cute. I am, as much as I don't care for the Kings, I am very tempted to buy one of these. Just because
I will
it's so
try
cool
my
to
best
see.
to not judge you.
Listen, you have to understand. Like you
I'm
bought,
trying.
didn't you? You bought like the Filipino one from was there was a team that did it, right?
Yeah, but
The
it's just
Jets.
the Jets. It's not the
Yeah, but
Kings. It's
no, I
the
understand, but
Kings.
it's so cool to see like you're.
I'm obviously being sarcastic. I mean, I think
I
you would
know,
go.
I know.
I think I would mad judge you if we were talking about Vegas. I'd be like, Ness,
Oh, but even
roll it back,
still, like,
roll it back.
no, I get it, I get it. Yeah, right, right. But it's just so cool to see because I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah,
this in
yeah,
sports before.
yeah,
So, and
yeah.
it's specifically this art style that I love. I've had an idea to do some fan art in my head for a couple of years now that I haven't executed. That has a very similar art style that I want to do for like a hockey jersey concept. But anyways, I thought this was really cool. I just wanted to like speak this out into the world because you don't see a lot of Salvi representation in sports media and stuff.
I think I like the hoodie the most. I like the I mean in general I think the colors are just like so vibrant. Like does
Hmm.
that kind of speak back to like heritage symbolism, like the specific
Yeah,
palette that's being used?
yeah. Everything. So the artist herself is Salvi, so she knows exactly what she's doing. Oh God, I didn't pull up what she said, but she basically wanted to ¿cómo se llama? Like capture. I don't know. There's a volcano, a specific volcano that she wanted to incorporate into the art. That's very popular in El Salvador, and I believe So if y'all don't know, El Salvador is also really big at importing or exporting coffee because they have the soil to do it because of the volcanoes and all that. So I can't remember how many volcanoes in this small piece of land, but they're known for it. They have like beautiful scenery, and that's basically what she's doing in the art, specifically in the one that says Kings. I think that's the one that has the volcano on it, and the colors that she's using is very similar to the ones that you see out in the country. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it works on all the different apparel. Like I said, I think the hoodie one for me, like if I were to get any of these, I just like, like I'm big on hoodies. And then I just particularly like that it has like the LA Kings going down the sleeve. Just kind of gets it
Yeah.
that just kind of using the whole medium there. Medium? Am I saying that right? Mm.
Space.
Um, space. Palette. Hmm. I don't know. Um, but yeah, they all kind of work. They all are like pretty fun, and that's cool. So good job, Kings, on this
You
part.
did
But
something
when
right.
we but when we get to the Sharks part, you didn't do that one right.
Oh yeah. Okay, so speaking of games, we're gonna take a moment to talk about our sponsor today. If I can pull up the script. Here we go. All right, so today's sponsor, if you're only listening and you're not on the YouTubes looking at our little background today, we're sponsored by Game Time. This is an app that I use pretty frequently whenever I go to Sharks games. It's usually the app that I go to buy my tickets. Pretty reliable. Um, I think I'm getting ready to buy some tickets to possibly go to Pride Night coming up for the Sharks. I believe it is January 11th against the Minnesota Wild. I will, because this is just my go-to. Um, oh, yes. So currently, if you've never used the app before, here, let me pull this up so I can give you some details right quick. They do have these game time picks that give you the best options for the specific game you're choosing. Gives you the best deals for whatever seats you're looking for, or you might want to buy. They have something called a super deal that gives you basically the best value for the seats that you want. Like, let's say if you wanted to go to Saturday's game on the 14th, Sharks against the Utah Hockey Club, their super deal is, section 115, row 23 for $172, uh, which is, I suppose, a deal. um, I don't usually sit in the lower bowl because it's a little bit out of my price range, but for someone who has money, that could be something. For two people, it's not terrible. I also really like to use the feature with the all-in pricing, so I know exactly how much money I'll be paying instead of like being surprised by all the fees at the end. And it also has a feature for the seat view. So like panoramic, you can click the seat, you can see exactly what it is that you're gonna be looking at if you're sitting there. It's technology these days, all that good stuff. um, it says here. Oh, okay. And okay, to take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time Picks, you can download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code THPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code with THPN for $20 off, which is actually a pretty good deal. Download the Game Time. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. That's so funny. If you want to do it online for any reason, go to their gametime.co. But otherwise, you can go to your app store, whatever your device that you're using. It's there, easy to download. Just remember to put in the code, get your $20 off, support us in the process. Your favorite podcast and all that. All right. Next thing.
Oh, I just remembered the word that I was searching for when we were talking about the LA King stuff. Canvas.
Yes.
Yes. I was like, that is not what I mean, and I can't think of what I mean. And then as you were talking about all that, I was like, ah, I
Light
remember it.
bulb
And
moment.
I was just, as you continue to talk, I just had like my brain was just like canvas, canvas, canvas. Like, oh, forget
You're silly. All right, we're gonna switch gears here to our favorite team because that's all we like to talk about anymore. Because no one else matters really. Just kidding. The Sharks, though, fantastic week they had. Like
Oh my gosh.
they started off
First
the week
world
playing
problems with all those goals. First world problems.
too many. There's too many goals to share. They started off the week playing against the LA Kings. I believe. Oh, let me pull this up. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna guess this. That's silly. I believe they scored 8 goals. 8, 7 goals.
Against the Kings, yeah, 7.
7. What was the score? 7-5, 7-2. It's not coming up for me right now.
It
Anyways, they dominate.
was that was on Monday.
Yes.
Yes, the Sharks won 7-2.
Isn't that beautiful? as I
So
as I'm praising the Kings for one thing, I'm praising the Sharks
good
for the goals.
job. Good job with your diversity and now let's
Right.
get back to that hockey.
Listen, the Sharks started off real rough this season, as expected. A bunch of new players, a new coach, got to learn a new system, got to build the chemistry with the new guys. Whatever else is happening behind the scenes that I don't know about. Plus the calling the kids up and down for the recalls and whatnot. It's a lot going on. I think we're starting to see them clicking now. It's looking beautiful. The first signs of it was this game. Well, no, I mean I guess we've been seeing signs throughout the season. They just haven't been finishing. But against the Kings, they started to finish a beautiful 7 goals against these guys. The next game they played against the well, where am I?
So I actually want to go back to the
Oh,
Kings game because
yeah.
right before we hopped on, I was like, I need to refresh my memory of this week because we had 4 games in
Yeah.
7 days. And like you finished saying, I mean, we started out really rough this season. I mean, Celebrini played in the first game, and then because this roster just looks like so different
Yes.
from last season. I mean, Greer made some amazing moves in the offseason to, kind of a lot of what we're just going to kind of highlight today. But I mean, Celebrini, like when he went down with the injury, like I wasn't surprised because I think it was something that was from preseason because we know he took that kind of weird, he slid into the boards and when he was out for the next couple of games. I'm like, yeah, that they probably were like with all the hype of Celebrini deciding to sign with the Sharks. Like, I think as long as he could kind of hack it for 60 minutes, they were going to see like what he could do. It was just one of those things where it's not like I think the doctors were kind of like, look, this is probably like gonna feel a little sore, but I think it'll be okay if you play an opening night. And with all the hype and stuff, I think they just went ahead with it. But anyways, but ever since he's been back in the lineup, ever since like Smith has kind of been getting his skates, more and more into this NHL ice, and I mean, like, I know early on, there was some chatter of even though the plan from what we've seen with Greer, like he kind of wants to keep Smith up in the NHL, but him being a rookie and after after Celebrini went down, the lines got kind of shook up, and it was kind of hard to predict, like, is this the good spot for Smith to be in for his development? And I was kind of on the fence about it, and like me and Nate were kind of talking about like our opinions, and I kind of was like, I'm gonna go to the game tomorrow. I'm gonna pay more attention to him, because with everybody that's kind of like, you're kind of getting familiar with everybody. I like all the games up until like recently have been all a blur. Like I can't really focus on anyone particular unless like I devote that time to do so. So but that game, I mean, like, I think Smith got like a couple assists, or like I think he got his first goal or whatever it was, and I was like, nope, he belongs here. Like, I'm convinced everything's fine. La 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 la, whatever. And but I mean, ever since then, I was like, yeah, he just needs to take a little more time. And I mean, look at the line mates that he has. Like for a while, he was at center with like Goodrow, and I think Cunnin was like the first line that he was put on after Celebrini went down. And for like for a guy like that, especially if you're keeping him at center, like you're expecting him to kind of be like the playmaker of that line, or the one that's going to kind of keep everyone going. And when you've got, I mean, Goodrow and Cunnin are like good grinders, and periodically, they're going to score goals. But if you're expecting like the first year rookie to kind of like be successful in that situation, like, I mean, as long as he's not making like horrible mistakes, like that's what I was expecting from him, where he's just going to have to kind of figure it out. And these lines are going to get shook up throughout the season, and as long as he can kind of stay motivated and roll with the punches, like, I'm not really like, he's just going to have to show us what he's got. And like, I'm not trying to compare him to Celebrini. I mean, I think they're like, I mean, obviously they're both two of our highest prospects in our pool. But I mean, Celebrini being like first overall in his draft, and like not even contested, like I was talking about this the other day with like Smith's draft. I mean, they knew right off the bat, of course, like, okay, Bedard's going to go first overall. But after that, it was just going to kind of depend on the, like, how each franchise feels that one of these other guys could benefit them in their organization. So I have not ever really like kind of looked at them and being like, oh, look at Celebrini getting like a point per game. Like, what's Smith doing? It's like, Smith's fine. Like if he's able to make little plays here and there, and it's only like the 8th game of the season, cool, whatever. It doesn't look like he's drowning out there, blah blah blah. But there was some of this chatter starting to come back, and then throughout this week, like, we've been seeing like Smith's been doing amazing things again, and it's exciting times. So, but going back to like the Kings though, like, I just want to kind of like briefly get thoughts on like each. We have so many goals. Guys, we have so many goals. Like, right off the bat, freaking Nico Sturm comes back from IR and gets that, like, Askarov like hands over the puck to Ferraro. Ferraro's like right down there next to the goal line, and he sees Sturm from like a mile away, and he's like, I'm gonna get that to you. And I like when like, I don't know how many times I've seen that replay, but it's so quick, like so far across from the ice, that the camera doesn't get to Sturm until he's like halfway in the ozone.
Right.
And I was just like, how did that unfold? Like, what were the two Kings defenders doing in the neutral zone? Why could they not see like, it just like blows my mind how that all kind of plays out. Like, Ferraro sees Sturm just like going, hey, I'm right here, give it to me. And he just like gives him the pass all the way through the neutral zone, Sturm all alone against Riddick, and gets the goal. Like, how cool is it for Nico to come back from IR and get the guys going?
I think I do want to point out, with something you said is like it was such a quick play, and that's something I've been noticing about the Sharks in general is that they're playing so much faster than they have in the past like few seasons or however long it's been. And I just want to give another shout out and props to Coach Warsawski because this guy that we were all excited for him to join the organization for a reason is now is starting to benefit the fruits of his labor, and I'm really excited for him and his team. And I don't know, this is good. We're starting to. I forgot how good it feels to watch a good team. This week was so
It's
good, you
kind of
guys.
surprising. Yeah. I mean, this whole week has been surprising. I'm just like, how many goals do we have? Like,
22 guys. I counted all week.
like,
Insane.
like last week was the coming back from behind kids to try and
Right.
get some points, and now we're like, yeah, we don't like that so much. I mean, we have so many other things we need to work out, like our defensive problems, but even when we give up the goal, we're like, okay, whatever. We'll go out and get 3 more to make up for it. Like Zetterlund's goal, like from the broadcast, like, he was coming around from behind the net. They said, like, he was probably trying to center it for Eklund, who was crashing the net, and he just kind of like threw it in that direction. And then there was a Kings defender who was trying to like get in there to block it, and it ended up like ramping off his leg in between like his hip and like the post, and then just like, and then you see it like shoot out from the other side. Like, I had to watch that again because I was like, what even happened? Like, what magic trick just occurred? So I don't know, like craziness. Celebrini's coast to coast, the one where he just like didn't even look until the last second and just like faked out Riddick. Like how does he do it? Smith setting up Liljegren from behind the net, and this play is like what I'm talking about with Smith. It's like, with all the chatter about like, oh, is this the right decision to kind of keep him up here? Like, I always go back to referencing someone like Thomas Bordeleau, or, like other college to NHL or AHL players, where, I mean, we talked about it a number of times with Bordeleau. It's like you can see that he's got the hockey IQ necessary. It's just with every season that he's been here from college, it's like we see it, but you need to do it like 5 times faster. And then the next time he comes up the season after, and it's like, you're almost there, but you need to do it 3 times faster. It's like you can see the progression. And so that's fine with like someone like Bordeleau, but someone like Smith, he was selected 4th overall. He dominated at the college level. Like, when he decided to sign with the Sharks, I was like going to be fine with him going either direction. Like, if you want to go for another year for college, or you feel like you're ready. With Celebrini, I felt more confident that like I think he should come up into the Sharks organization. But either way, depending on what they wanted to do. But with like Smith, I was like, okay, let's see what happens. And like, even from like game 1, it's like he doesn't look like he doesn't belong here. But with all the changes with the roster, it's like, it's really like, if you're not really paying attention, you're just looking at the score sheet, or just, looking at it from without really analyzing exactly why he's not producing, or why like XYZ, like it might look like maybe we didn't do a good job with selecting Smith, or maybe he needs to be down in the AHL. But just like, especially with this play, like he got the open, like the puck shot out on the left side of the ice, and he instead of just, I mean, he could have tried to do something and shot it at the net, but instead he went around, he had patience to go behind the net. And again, instead of just like throwing out in front of the net and maybe getting like, giving a juicy rebound to somebody, which again would have been a fine play, he goes the extra mile. He sees Timothy Liljegren. He's like, that is the best. That is the best option for me. And I think not even like a week ago, like I remember, I don't remember if it was Warsaski. It might have been him. It might have been Drew talking about like there was a play where Smith got the puck and then he took like that one extra second to dust it off to get it like right where he wanted it on his stick, and it's already too late.
Mhm.
Like at the college level, it's probably working, right? But at the NHL level, it's like everyone's like that much quicker, that much better. It's like those seconds are so important. Like the opportunity closes so quickly. It's like don't think about it so much. Just get the pucks on the net. And like I think he's been doing that more, and I think he's been able to think quicker out on the ice. And like that is just like one of those prime examples of just like, oh my God, just look at him. He's like getting it together. And if he's not scoring, he's getting in on the play, or he's making something happen. And I mean, we might still be pretty close to the bottom of the league or whatever. I mean, in our division or whatever, but it's still like such a fun time to be
It's not by
here.
much.
Yeah, yeah.
Max points out, we just got to win a few more games than other teams, and we're right back in it. Also, speaking of Smith, I just want to point out these past 4 games this week, he has at least a point in all of them. So he's on a 4-point game streak. 3 of those he had 2 points in. So he needed to warm up and get used to how fast this league works. But I think he's catching up. It'll be interesting to see where he goes from here because, as you know, every player has their ups and downs. He's currently on his up. We'll see how far he takes it. I feel like Celebrini has been pretty consistent since he's been playing. I'm so proud of these guys. These are my children. There was a stat. Oh, I didn't pull it up. Did you pull it up? Do you have it? The Celebrini one? I think he has like 12 points in the 14 games that he's played in or something like that.
There was a stat that I saw, I think in general. Here, let me look at it real quick. Rookie of the month stat that I saw this morning. He has 7 goals, 5 assists for 12 points in 14 games.
Yeah. And he was just announced Rookie of the Month for the month of November. The first time it's happened since Tomas Hertl back in 2013. Thanks to all the reporters putting all these fun stats out. This is a good time to be a Sharks fan. For all the shit we put up with through the years, this is good. This is fun. I like this. We should keep doing this.
If you're bored, you can go back and listen to the first season that we started this podcast. Woof. Woof. It was rough times, fam.
Eyes glazed over.
But that Liljegren goal, that was challenged by the Kings for goalie interference. If I remember correctly, they were trying to say that, oh, Ferraro interfered with the goalie. But when you look at the replay, I mean, yeah, he went into the blue paint for like a nanosecond, but he didn't touch him at all. If anything, like your defense was pretty close to touching him. And then he just like came right back out of the paint, and then like a couple seconds later, Liljegren scored. So the Kings failed on that coach's challenge, and so then the Sharks got a power play goal out of that. And then I wasn't able to find like what happened that gave them the 5-on-3 advantage, but that was yeah, so Celebrini scored off of that. Oh my God, it was so beautiful. He was just like right there on the right side of the net, just waiting for that pass. And beautiful, beautiful goal. Just a one-timer right in there, was going in there 300%. Exciting. And then the following goal after that was the Walman snipe from the point after they get the face-off win from Wenberg. He just picked his spot, beautiful. And then our grinder that I have all the hope in the world for, and the Shark gave him an A this season. He's on a 1-year contract, so you know that he's got that fire under him. Like he understands, hey, we have hopes for you. We want you to stay here, but we're only going to give you the 1 year. So you understand, hey, this is your year to show us. And Luke Cunnin, hopefully this is the start of him heating up. I mean, he's not the prettiest when he's out there, you know, like he's definitely like, there's moments where you're just like, God, no, like you're just like, he comes in there with all the motivation and it's like, oh, like you're trying so hard and you just like something just happened and then you couldn't execute it. But Luke Cunnin I have here is just working hard and it pays off. I believe this is the one where he just kind of comes into the zone. I think he had like 2 king defenders on him and he's just doing something. He's trying to keep possession of the puck, managed to get it on his forehand and right past Riddick. All around, always a lovely time to beat LA and hear the music to my ears in the Shark Tank when everyone's saying beat LA, beat LA. The best. The Senators game was exciting, but my first point that I have down here is woof defense. I mean, we went down by a couple of goals early on. The Sharks didn't wake up until, you know, a couple minutes or whatever into the second. I have here like Smith to Ferraro. That was like that 2-on whatever, and Smith just feeds it. Yeah, like you think like here's another thing about Smith. And if he were to continue doing this up until this point, I still would have been fine with it. I would be fine with it if it was like a call up from the AHL and you just want these guys to shoot, right? You don't want them to like, what comes to mind early on, remember that play from Smith where he tried to like drag it around the defender? And it's just like, that's probably going to work in the college level. The NHL dudes are not going to be fooled by that. And just from him doing that early in like the first couple games to what he's doing now, like if he were just shot it at the goalie and then, you know, you're thinking, okay, I'll shoot it to get the shot off. Maybe it rebounds and Ferraro crashing the net. Maybe he'll get an opportunity to get the rebound. But instead, Smith's like, you know what? I'm going to make this pass to Ferraro. He's probably seen that he's got a better opportunity there. And Ferraro being on a 3-game point streak right now, like that's also really exciting to see.
Everyone's on a point streak right now. I didn't catch the Senators game, but I think that was a pretty close one, no? Like back and forth.
Yeah, like that one exciting, but I mean, like with all these games this week, like I mean, it's good that the Sharks, unlike the previous week where they kind of started getting back into the game late and trying to come from behind, and even though they get into like overtime, it like that's not a chemistry for success. So you can see throughout the progression of the last couple of weeks, like they're learning, they're starting to adjust, like they're learning on the fly. You can see them making those adjustments like almost in like real time. But I mean, still like the fence, you know, like it's great that they're getting all these goals, but at the same time, it's like some of these games, you know, like I think last game, the Kraken got almost like 40 shots on goal, and it's like you don't really want that you don't want to make your goalies work that hard. Right. But to finish out the Senators, Eklund to Celebrini, that rebound shot from the point, and then they've got like, and then it was like Eklund came in and think it was backhand to Celebrini to the open net. Like
Mm.
that one was one of the exciting goals of. I mean, even though they lost this game, I mean, it's still like these, like the way that they score the goals. You can tell, like once they start getting this defense like locked down, this is going to be a very, very competitive team. I don't remember off the top of my head anymore what the Zetterlund to Smith goal was, but Smith getting another point in this game. And then we get to the Kraken back-to-back series. So
What a
crazy.
series!
So crazy.
There's a total of let me count this. 12, 7, 19 goals in 2 games between both teams.
Insanity.
I did watch
Um,
the Friday game, the one
mm,
that they had here in San Jose. I it was an afternoon game, and I was contemplating going. I was like, I got nothing to do today. Do I want to make that drive? And like ultimately, I was too tired. I had a week, but I did catch it, the whole thing, which is very rare for me these days. And what a time! What a crazy game! It started off like the Sharks scored the first goal. I can't remember who did it, and then I'm like, yes, excited. Sharks are at it, but the Kraken come right back like a minute later, not even. And then
yeah.
it takes them a while.
So in my notes, I have PTSD game of Sharks giving up a goal immediately after scoring. They did that literally. It was like I think there were at least 3 goals where they
Yeah.
immediately, like within the next minute, and I was just like, guys, come on,
Shut it down. What are you doing,
stop
defense?
it right now.
Yeah, they had the lead, I think, throughout most of the game. I think the Kraken took over somewhere in the middle when they were like 4-2 or 4-3 at one point. And then I think is when like the Sharks like really stepped up and like I don't know how they did it. They scored like 4 goals in the second period or something.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the game summary. So Liljegren got us going, and then a little over a minute later, Bjorkstrand scores. And then
Mhm.
Costin, oh my God, you could tell the relief just wash over Costin to get this goal. And so I think this was the first game that this line consisted of Costin, Granlund, and Smith. What a line. Like, if Smith wasn't already finding his way, producing opportunities for himself, like Granlund coming back from injury and like I mean, Celebrini, Zetterlund, and Eklund, like that being like the new line that was formed when like Granlund went down. I mean, they're just rolling. So why would you come back and be like, oh, Granlund's back, get out of the way, you know?
Right.
Like, no, let this line cook. Like instead, I think this is like if they continue to just pop off like this, like keep this line together, Costin, Granlund, and Smith, and especially I don't remember which game they decided to move Smith off of center. At, like maybe that happened when like Goodrow went down, but like Granlund centering this line, and like I mean some of these plays that Granlund was in on, it's like they he kind of reminds me like my friend on Friday was saying like how calm like Walman is like our calmest defenseman. Like the way it's almost like I remember I think in the first period I made this comment about like, oh, Ferrar's doing so much better this season, whatever. And then like in the same I was like, ah shit, that was Walman. I should have known because Walman is just so chill when he skates. And then Ferrar was like,
Yeah.
he's just like
Erratic out there.
like I should have known. But I mean, the comment still stands. Like Ferraro was doing, in my opinion, much better. And if I remember in a moment, there was also a comment that I want to bring up from Ferraro. But um, I'm trying to recall my thought about.
You
Oh,
were talking about
so
Austin.
yeah, so Granlund is like, to me, like how Walman plays. He's just in these plays that led to the goal. It's like he is a like it just felt like everything kind of like slowed down on the ice, and then he just kind of like, here, go and score.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily like edge of my seat, like will they or won't they. It was just like, yeah, we're just gonna score. I'm just taking my time to figure out like how I want to do this. Like, don't worry, guys, we're gonna score. Like that's just kind of how I felt on a couple of these plays. Like Granlund just like sent like, obviously he's centering the ice, but he also centers the line. It's just
Yeah.
he's like the
He
missing
grounds them.
piece. Like he's grounded this line. Everything is like, like we're whatever word I'm trying to think of and I can't think of right now. But like I'm like, this line is amazing. And I think this game, like every line scored. Like like when you look at the time on ice for the Sharks, like it's pretty, I mean, obviously, with like see, like Wenberg, I mean, he's on the power play. Eklund's on one of the power plays. I'm pretty sure if I can find Celebrini. I mean, wow, Celebrini was kind of like in the middle of the pack. And it's like in previous seasons with the Sharks, when we've been kind of like, will they, won't they rebuild or whatever, like, I mean, even someone like Brent Burns, like you be like 30 something minutes out on the ice, and it's just because you can't put anyone else out on the ice, and you're like relying on these guys that are, the anchors of your team. And when you kind of like look down the board, if they're not on a special team, like it makes sense that they don't have as much, time on ice. I think for the forwards, the person that had the least amount of ice time was Costin with 9:48, but the highest for one of the forwards was Wenberg with almost 20, but like 1919. So, I mean, they're able to kind of, ideally you want to be able to just roll all your lines and just have them be effective for the time that they're out there. But like I said, the Sharks would score, and then immediately the Kraken would come back, and it's just like, Jesus. But I mean, Smith's goal right after Costin's like relief goal, they were the Kraken were trying to head out into the offensive zone, and then they get it like a turnover in the neutral, and Smith's right there waiting at the blue line for the go-ahead pass. And once again, Smith is continuing to adapt and to get better. And that was another opportunity for him. And he got open and got that goal. This is one of my favorite goals, the Walman goal, where Eklund was trying to get set up to shoot, but one of the Kraken defenders were able to poke it away from him. But then, you've got like the support coming back in. It happened to pop out conveniently to Walman, and he just stepped right into it. And I was like,
Dude,
oh, that's
insane.
the, I was in mid bum emotion when Eklund got that poke check from him, and immediately Walman comes in and it's like, never mind, I'm happy.
I'm over it.
That was what we were supposed to do. That was on purpose.
It was part of the plan.
That was part of the
Dude, that
plan.
that
Yeah.
was a bomb.
Yeah.
He could have like burned a hole in the net. That went in so fast and hard. And then I think Celebrini also scored that game, and he has a hell of a shot. I remember I was watching this in bed, and I remember sitting up like, oh my god, they just scored. Oh my god, what a shot. What the hell? Where is this coming from? Things I forgot can happen in hockey. We're being spoiled right now.
I think it was around this time where I asked my friend, like, why did the Red Wings trade Walman to us
Right.
for nothing? Like
Right.
I've been trying to figure it out, and then I haven't really been digging that deep, and I don't think, like, I remember seeing an interview with Wallen being asked about it, and like even he doesn't really know. So I don't think there's a whole lot of like definitive answers out there. But from my friend's perspective, he just feels like it was a cap issue where, I mean, Red Wings are also in their rebuild, and like they've been doing that for quite some time. Um and I believe some of their like up and coming, I believe it, what's his name? I think Susla was up for a contract. I could be wrong. I think it was like whatever name he said, like, oh, that makes sense. Like they have to lock in that guy. So I think they had like him and like one other dude, and then some other issues with like how were they going to make it work. And so I think from his perspective, it just seems like they had to kind of move pieces around. And I don't really follow the progression of the Wings in terms of like their prospect pool. So I was wondering, like, I mean, do they have a lot of good defense that they can just be like, here, have him for peanuts, like,
Right.
um, but just the fact that he's been able to come into this lineup, he's just like been so effective in all areas of the game. I'm just like, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever issues
Definitely.
you're having, that sucks for you.
Thanks for giving us such a great player for free. We will not be returning him.
Okay, so to close out for the first part of the Kraken matchup, I have Granlund, and I've just put here this Costin Granny Smith line is fire. Um, this the goal after Granlund's was Eklund was kind of trying to get it off near the boards from like a Kraken player, and it kind of pops out, and like Zennerlin is streaking past to pick it up, and then I think this is what you're talking about, maybe the cross ice pass to Celebrini. Just like everything, it's just like everyone's kind of like buying into the system, like the vibes are at all time high, like everyone's just starting to have fun out there. They're like everyone's focused on like wanting to get better each game. My friend asked me, out of all these goals after the game, like, which one was your favorite? I'm like, oh my god, one, there's so many, and like two, there was just like some amazing goals. I mean, the fact that Costin, like, I was really hopeful for him when we got him at the end of last season, and then right now with all the changes and stuff, like, and then also I think he was a scratch for a while, so like there was a little bit of concern of like, oh, Costin's really going to need to try to make a name for himself, especially with Versosky being the new coach. It's like you've got to kind of show him what you got. And so not only was like that great for Costin, I mean, he made another, I think this might have been, I remember he made another, now I'm remembering the Granlund goal. Costin set him up for that.
Mhm.
And
That was the Gordie Howe, right?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so. I mean, yeah, like I said, there were so many great goals throughout this game, but I think my favorite one was
Wait,
Cardwell.
can I guess? Oh, I was gonna say, can I guess? I thought you
Was
were
that
gonna
your
say
guess?
Cardwell. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe Shark scoring his first goal, of course. Oh, they ended up giving him the helmet at the end of the game too, because
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
his first goal. It's so cute. Oh, I love this team.
Yeah, because I think he got called up because Goodrow went on IR, and before
Mhm.
we announced that, I was wondering, who are we gonna call up? Like, will Bordalo have a chance to come in and get, because he was injured, and then we haven't he doesn't have an opportunity to come up with a big club all season. So I was wondering, like, oh, is he ready to come up? Like, are we going to get one of like our hot prospects that are cooking down there? And then when they announced that Ethan Cardwell was coming up, I was like, makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with it that for the game or whatever that he was up, like he looked like he was ready to, grind it out with the guys, and just this opportunity to get this grade A chance, and he made sure to get it in past Grubauer. I did see, I mean, some of the goals that went past Grubauer, it looked like he probably wants one, especially the Carwell. It just like hit the top of his glove, so he was right there, and yeah, the positioning or whatever.
That
Like,
one
yeah,
and
he
the
probably
Smith
wants
goal.
that one back.
The Smith goal was
Um,
a 5 hole.
oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, he was. You could see he was upset with that one, but yeah, I've been really impressed with Carval. The last few games that he played here with the big club, he's grinding out there all the time. It doesn't seem like he's out of place either, and like you can tell he's having a good time out there. His Sally when he scored, so cute. He was so excited. And the eighth goal was an empty netter or what?
Yeah, Walman empty netter. Yeah.
Yeah,
So what a crazy first matchup of the weekend. I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, it was great that we kind of came out prepared, but then like I said, it was just like PTSD to just like a minute later the Kraken come back, and it's like we let them walk in and score, and it's like how is this game going to turn out? But I mean, the Sharks never took their foot off the gas, which is kind of what they've been sort of doing for like the past couple weeks. Even if they go down by a bunch of goals, they still are focused on, well, let's just put that one behind us. Let's go out there on the next shift and put in another good effort. And then to to have them immediately, like, after, so they played at noon, and then, obviously after the game, they've got to freshen up. They've, like, whoever needs to talk to the media, blah, blah, blah. And then they pack up, and then they get on a plane to go to Seattle. Like, crazy. You're like, yeah, we just played a game. We scored 8 goals. Now we got to go see these guys again in their home arena and do it all over again. And
right.
then on Saturday, they had Blackwood in net, and then Joey Decord, and it was a much more tamed game in terms of the score sheet, but still particularly fun.
Yeah, the Kraken
Let's
were
see.
dominating a lot of this game, and I think the defense kept breaking down, and Blackwood really kept the Sharks in this game. But it was still fun. The Sharks still moving fast out there. But yeah, I think like you said earlier, I think once they figure out their defensive breakdowns or whatever, this could be a pretty scary team to play against.
Yeah, the Kraken got 38 shots on goal to our 23. And I remember there was a whatever period that was, like, the Kraken were starting, I think after, like, we scored a couple of goals, like, they're starting to see, like, okay, we need to get into the next gear. We don't want it to turn out like it did the other day where they just continue to dominate. I have here for the first goal, like, Farrell just kind of dusting it off, which, and then picks his spot in the net to snipe it there. I mean, we love seeing Ferraro kind of getting into the mix there and getting some points. I think it might have been after the first Kraken game, or it could have been this one, where I think he was asked about that because he's been getting points lately, and he kind of just complimented just everyone out there, just kind of helping out on the fence, and everyone just doing their part. And like in the past couple of seasons, like, we've really struggled to generate offense, and then of course at the end of the day, it's like defense needs to be the first thing to focus on. And with us being really kind of bad in all areas, like he hasn't really been able to focus on another side of his game, which he said he actually enjoys, like kind of jumping in and helping in the offense. And so, just with the guys doing much better with working on the areas of their game to be less reliant on like constantly having to be in our zone or whatever, like Ferraro has these opportunities to kind of not have to be too concerned with like I think the way that he kind of worded it is like um he's not trying like you're not trying to be so aggressive to come down into the zone where maybe you're not so confident that like the forwards are necessarily going to be able to hang back and cover your ass on defense. And but since everyone's kind of like being able to adjust and improve their game, like he has more of that confidence to come down and to bring some more offense to his game. And hey, you know, it's working. Cunning getting another goal. Hell yeah. CC getting a goal. This was a funny ass play, and I'm just like I was just so like happy that it kind of worked out because it was like what the. I remember I was texting my friend, and I was like, "What the hell?" like like the like so Celebrini passes up to Walman, and I think he kind of cuffs Walman because he passed it like right kind of, you know, if you so Walman's like a right-handed shot, so you kind of want to sort of like pass it to their tape, but you know, like if the puck is going in another direction, you adapt to whatever. And I just think like Walman got kind of like his hands got kind of cuffed trying to stop it like more near his skates. That my friend said that Walman just turned himself into a pretzel to keep that in the zone. and then he still managed to pass it back to Celebrini before the Kraken defender came in. And then
Right.
and then Celebrini shot it. I'll say he did intentionally because, of course, right? He did. He's just like mastermind. He shot it. It ricocheted off the backboards right to Cece on the other side of the net.
So he had an open net to shoot into, and he got
Mm-hmm.
it. Yeah. So I did want to share. So Shang asked Walman about the awkward pass that Celebrini gave him for Cece's goal. He said Walman joked about his awkward keep in on the Cece goal. I told Macklin I never seen a bad pass from him like that before. We had a little laugh about it. I got him back for one in the third period. I gave him a bad pass, so we're even now. So it's like, yeah, he gave him a bad pass, and like he's actually a left-handed shot, which is why he couldn't really
Oh,
corral
right,
it.
right.
Really, it was like right into his skates almost, and he was trying to get it on his stick really awkwardly. He fell over, was still able to get it past whatever Seattle defenseman was there, whoever that was. Um, Still made a play out of it, but you love to see how good the vibes are. Where even if they hadn't scored on that play, you know they still would have joked about it and like made fun of Celebrini for it, and it's so, I don't know. Like you said, the vibes are up. We're living for this right now. Um,
And to
wait,
close out that game, and then yet another Granlund to Smith. This line, like
firing on all
we're
cylinders.
yep.
Love to see that. Um, Keep speaking of the good vibes, though. Do you want to share or talk about a little bit about this little Wenberg clip that you found?
The what Eklund's dad?
Oh, I said Wenberg.
Oh. Where's that? Yeah. So I saw this person's post. I don't really know who this is. I want to say that they're Kraken fans, and you know when the Sharks are leaving the game, um, some sharks kind of some fans kind of hang out at the exit to see the players and maybe get some signatures and whatever. At Wenberg, originally part of the expansion draft to go to the Kraken from the Columbus Blue Jackets. He had some fans, I believe, were Kraken fans. They were talking with him, had him sign one of the signs that they brought. And I guess they were telling him that, like, oh, we really miss you in Seattle and blah, blah, blah. And Wenberg's like, yeah, I kind of like these jerseys better, though. So
With a big old smile on his face. You know what? I agree. The Kraken's jersey, pretty clean. You can't beat the Sharks logo. It's just so classic and so good.
teal, sharks, what's not to love about it? Everyone's like, we miss him so much. And it's like, he looks so much better in our jerseys, though.
Yeah. Who doesn't? All right. So quickly want to switch gears to Eklund's dad. For those of you that don't know, Sir William Eklund, Slippery Pete, his dad has a YouTube channel where he interacts with some hockey players throughout the NHL, specifically Swedish ones. And he'll post content doing some silly things. One that came to our attention this week, thanks to our good friend Alex, Snipe City 420 on the Twitter, or sorry, X, was
whatever that platform.
The whatever platform. he did an interesting segment where he had specific players doing, I don't know what sort of workouts on the ice, and then came to do some interview with him and they had to eat like a hot dog after. I don't know if to see how fast they could eat it when they're out of breath. I'm not entirely sure what was going on. It's just silly. But yeah, you could talk about his, since you follow him, his Instagram.
Yeah, so shout out to Alex for tagging me in that post, because I was not aware of the amazing vibes that Christian Eklund, William Eklund's dad, is bringing to this franchise. But I guess he's like in town and whatever, because like there's several posts of him just kind of hanging out at the Shark Tank. Like like he might be the account to follow if you kind of want to like see the options around the tank. He was seen this week trying out the new stick that you can kind of fill up with beer. So he got himself filmed trying that out. I also saw a clip where he got one of the popcorn carriers that's the shark head, and he was attempting to put his beer can in it and drink from it at the same time. So I mean, this might be your way to kind of check out like what's at the tanks. You know what to get when you get there. Yeah, so I've been enjoying it so far. I mean, honestly, he's a very proud dad. One of the pictures that he posted the other day is right out front of the tank. It's Eklund with, who else is Celebrini and Tyler Toffoli. Proud dad moment. His son is right out there as one of the top guys in the franchise. So yeah, so another great account to follow if you're looking for just other ways to be excited for the team.
Yes. One last thing. I can't pull it up. One last thing I wanted to touch on was talking about our prospects down in the Barracuda, because not only are the Sharks improving, but the Barracuda are kind of dominating the AHL right now, and it's so good to see, because I don't think this team has been good since like 2017 or something. It's been a while.
There's definitely a time where it's just like, whoa, This team, I mean, like this team, the Sharks team, nothing to good to write home about.
Right. I think they are second in the league, or
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Trailing
Um,
right behind the Calgary Wranglers.
oh, nice. Wait, are they second in the league or second in the
Oh, sorry,
Pacific?
second in our division.
Oh, okay, yeah. My internet kind of cut out over here, so I can't check the article that I wanted to talk about. But there's details in there saying that I think they've won like 12 games so far. They're dominating. They're looking like a completely different team. Usually they're bottom dwellers, but right now they're looking real good. Specifically with the addition of the off-season signings of like three different veterans, all who have won the Calder Cup before, plus the Askarov signing, and they're all contributing to having these guys looking pretty good out there. Yesterday they had their Tigres del Mar game. I think there's like two or three games this season. There was last year. It was basically the really cool logo that we talked about last season. They brought it back. They have new merch with the beautiful purples and orange color palette, which I think I want to get a hat because that looks sick. But yeah, the Cuda are doing some really cool things right now. Like catch them sometime this season using the Game Time app to buy tickets. They're on there too. Just saying. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Our baby sharks are doing great. Everything's looking so good for this franchise right now. I don't know what else I can say. Like, it's just so exciting to see things finally looking up after 5 years of just dread and misery.
So I looked at the league standings, and the Barracuda are 7th out of 32 teams, and the 32nd team is womp womp, the Henderson Silver Knights, womp womp.
You love
Uh,
to see it.
and so I'm reminded, and I don't recall if no, I'm pretty sure we didn't talk about this last week, but I'm reminded because six in the standings is the Toronto Marlies, and I did see that. I think we had a game against them last week, because the Barracuda cut the clip of off of the Steve Dangle podcast where they were talking about the
Yeah.
CUDA, and who was it? Not Dangle, one of the other two guys. Sorry, I don't remember their name off the top of my head, but he's apparently a super fan of the CUDA vibes, and he was telling the guys, and the other Jesse is the other one he was talking to, and he was wondering, well, what's so different about them and whatever, like tell us more. And the other dude, I swear, you know what, I'm gonna find out who, I'm sorry, like who Steve Dangle host. I swear his name is at the Adam. That's his name. Okay. So Adam is the one who's like, CUDA vibes are so cool, blah blah blah. And Jesse was like, well, what about it? And he's just like, they're just cool. Like, they're just having a good time, blah blah blah. And he compared it to, like, because their teams are in Toronto, and Toronto's so corporate, and they're just like, here is an update, here's what we are doing, da 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 da. And the CUDA are just like, what ifs, blah blah blah. Like, they're totally, like, quote unquote unprofessional about how they go about things. I mean, and and that's just fun. And so he was saying, he would love to go to a CUDA game if he's ever out here. And it's like, that's cool. That's cool that, for a podcast that's largely listened to by Leafs fans, and then, obviously they have a big platform for just like generally people tune into them. Like, it's cool to kind of get that shout out about the CUDA just having fun.
Yeah. You don't hear much about the CUDA at all, so it is nice to hear them get some recognition on a very popular podcast specifically. But yeah, the Sharks, the CUDA, they're all doing great. Oh, I did want to share one quick thing. The graphic that Elena shared with us this morning. there's like, I don't know if they do this weekly or whatever, where they have the graphic of the pie chart of the odds of each team making the playoffs by the end of the year. And the last time she shared one with us, the Sharks weren't even on the graphic. Like they just cut them off completely. They're like, these guys suck. They're not going to make it. This week they have a 0.1% chance or something, something very minuscule of making the playoffs, which is silly. But they made their way back onto the graphic. But it also doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I went and looked at the standings and the Sharks aren't even last in the standings. So why are they getting so much hate there? Like, they have 23 points. Yeah, they have 23 points here in the standings while the Blackhawks have 18. And somehow the Blackhawks have a higher chance of making the playoffs than the Sharks do for some strange
I think
reason.
it's because of the games in hand.
You think so?
Because we played quite a bit more games than the other folks that
Oh,
are
okay.
hanging out with us at the bottom of the
Yes, yes.
standings. Yeah. But you know what? Whatever.
Yeah.
We're 5 points out of a wild card. Who cares about things making sense?
Right. We're just diehard Sharks fans and want to see people give them more recognition. Which actually, I don't know if you've noticed, but the NHL accounts on socials they've been like raving about how fun the Sharks are to watch right now. It's so cool.
I saw earlier this week that even the Daily Faceoff had someone write an article about because well, the Daily Faceoff, you kind of follow it if you are doing fantasy and whatever, and like early on, like the official like NHL fantasy podcast was just like, no, we're not taking any Sharks. Because I understand it because you don't know what this team is going to look like this season. Like, if best you get Celebrini, right? You're figuring like he's probably, if anything, he's going to get a couple points for you here and there. Like, no one, especially like I mean, obviously have the I mean, ever since we got the first overall pick, like we've been on a high. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care. This team could just do terrible in terms of the standings, but with the moves that are made in the offseason, us being able to get the first overall pick, like even like the first game of the season, even though the Blues came back and they beat us and blah blah blah, it's like you cannot make me upset right now. Like, nothing about this is upsetting. Oh, and that reminds me, early in the week, I don't remember which game it was. It might have been the Kings. Yeah, because we had Thanksgiving. Yeah. So long story short, a friend of mine at work, huge fan, but understandably in the last couple of seasons, like this team has just been unwatchable. But like, I just love watching hockey in general, so I've been watching it, through all the horrible times. I mean, we do a hockey podcast, so I think we need to talk about hockey. So, there were reasons for us to continue to watch a game, no matter how gruesome they are. But from the perspective of someone who's like big fan of the game, but maybe you want to do other things with your time, I get it. Like, and on that Monday, he came by to talk to me about it because he went to the jumbo retirement jersey thing that previous Saturday, and we did not look all that great. So if that is your first game to watch of the season, and you're like, ooh, like, I can understand why you're like, I don't know how to feel about that. And I was like, it wasn't a particularly great game for them, but we look so much better than we did last season. We have some great prospects coming up. Celebrini and Smith are more than what I could have hoped to see them in just a short amount of time. Here are all the reasons in the offseason. Well, I was just like kind of listing all this stuff for him and being like, I understand from your perspective, you haven't really been following for the last couple of seasons, but we are looking great.
Yeah.
And then that night, we had that 2-7 win against the Kings, and I texted him going, I hope you are watching this game. Like, I really hope. And then he texted me the next day, and he well, he said like he wasn't, but he did check the score and was just kind of like floored. But he did watch one of the Kraken games this past week and was just like, wow, and whatever. And I'm like, that's what's up. That's what's up. Get on board. Get back to watching all 82 games. You're gonna
Who has
miss the train. You're
I
gonna miss
know.
the train of all the exciting stuff going on. We're getting to watch it in real time. It is so exciting to see these kids come up through the system, or getting to watch hockey from a different lens. Like before this, like I wasn't as tuned in to like the draft. Like, I'd be, I wouldn't sit through it or whatever. I'd be like, oh, well, I'll check what we get afterwards, right? You're like more reactive to it because the product on the ice was like, we're here already. Like, this is stuff we're maybe gonna see later down the line, or we're gonna trade them for, guys that can produce now. Like, it was less of an interest because the product was right on the ice right now, versus we got to take it from a different perspective now, where it's like the product is holding the fort down in some like we're just holding it down as the wind is like hitting it and like and trying to blow it away. We're just kind of
Holding
holding
on
it,
for dear life.
just kind of holding it down, and then one day this will look better. And we're getting to see it now, and it's just so exciting, and people just need to know. People just need to
Yeah.
know.
I think this also calls for a shout out to GMMG.
GM Silky.
GM Silky, Senor Mike Greer, in just the 2 years that he's been pulling moves for this franchise, has turned this thing around so quickly. And I give all the props. This guy really knows what he's doing, and I'm happy he's on our side.
I'm
Okay.
so excited to see what he does when the trade deadline comes up. I mean, I'll be sad to see some players go if they end up going, but as we've seen already, and the first, this is his second season with us.
This is third.
And okay, his third with us. And I was actually talking about this with a friend of mine, where all the trades have been really great, minus maybe the Burns one, because that one just kind of didn't like. I mean, yeah, we offloaded a player that we were able to move without them needing to waive their no movement clause and whatever. So we got something to work out. The return of it was like, well, we're still waiting to see. I think I can't remember anymore who we got, but like, if anything, if that's like your one trade that was like, yeah, it evened out. Nothing terrible, but nothing to write home about. And everything else is like, especially when you follow the timeline of how we got Askarov. Like, I think like, he's playing GM Silky's playing 3D chess out there.
Yeah.
Like the trades that he makes, and they're like, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
We're not done yet, right?
What is this leading to? Where's the
This
end
means
goal?
nothing. What actually are you doing? And then just the way that he like rarely smiles, like he's just like got that like resting poker face.
You don't know what he's
So
thinking.
exciting.
Yeah.
So exciting.
All right. I guess that's all we have to talk about for today. Unless you have any last minute thoughts.
The PWHL started this
Oh,
week.
yeah.
I caught some bits. I'm gonna watch the New York Sirens go against the Minnesota Frost today. I think they play at 3. Yeah, because I just got the notification. I was like, hey, this game's coming up. I'm like, okay, I will. But That was another thing I was gonna say. Okay. I'm sure that PWHL listens to this podcast, so I'm gonna tell them I appreciate the jerseys being up for sale and whatever, but I don't want the 2 customized jerseys that you have. I want to customize my own jersey. How do I do that? I want to give you my money, but I also wanted to say rock on the back. How do I make this happen? And I currently don't have that option, and I need to know how.
Just send this clip, email someone in the
Yeah.
PWHL.
Please email us with how I can do this.
Please and thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes.
Much love.
So that's all I have to say about that.
Signed over the glass.
Mhm.
All right. All right, that's all we have for this week, you guys. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Ness.
And I am Jay.
We'll see y'all next week. Bye.